because there's two stories around today that speak to sort of similar themes. The one that I couldn't quite get my head around when I heard it yesterday was that the prisons are full. It's a phrase you just never expect to hear, isn't it? The prisons are full. The prisons are full. The Times reports that convicted rapists and burglars will be free to walk the streets from next week because the country's prisons are full. This is the United Kingdom in 2023, by the way. This isn't sort of some medieval kingdom in the year 1142. This is the UK. This is 13 years since the Conservatives came to power with their constant promises about law and order and whatever it may be. Convicted rapists and burglars will be free to walk the streets from next week because the country's prisons are full. This, I presume, is the Home Office's remit, isn't it? It's the Home Secretary banging on constantly about barges and pronouns when the prisons are actually full. Great. I don't know how to turn that into a phone-in subject. I mean, why are the prisons full? Answer, because they're full of prisoners, James. Why? How has this been permitted to happen? Well, I don't know. And when you look at the backlogs in the criminal justice system, not only are the prisons full, but they would be even fuller, if there can be such a thing, or they would be even more convicted rapists and burglars walking the streets next week if all of the people accused of rape and burglary were actually being put on trial within even a tiny time frame of being charged. So I don't know how it's a phone. I don't know how it's a phone-in. Sometimes when I say I don't know how it's a phone-in, I'm being a tiny bit cheeky. I'm being mischievous because I am going to turn it into a phone-in, but I'm just almost preening myself at the original creative approaches that we take to topics together on this programme. But I'm not doing that now, to be absolutely clear. How do you turn that into a phone-in? Rapists will go free as judges are told that prisons are full. Lord Justice Edis, the senior presiding judge for England and Wales, has ordered Crown Court judges to delay sentencing hearings, which means unless you're on remand, you will be currently walking free for criminals who are on bail. So not on remand, on bail. So you're on bail, you've been bailed to return to court for sentencing, and now you're not going to return to court for sentencing because there is no room in prison. It means that offenders, convicted offenders, including some who have committed serious crimes, although I think, with my sketchy legal knowledge, I think that the judge in those cases would have taken a decision that they didn't pose a threat to the public. They will be temporarily spared jail. I got tweeted this yesterday, actually, by a barrister, Thomas, who rings in occasionally, and I did a double take. How the hell has that happened? But as I say, I don't know that... you know what's happened now, don't you? Phones have started ringing. And I genuinely wasn't doing it for that reason. Should we take some calls on this? Because this wasn't the phone-in that I was going to have. Actually, should we do both phone? Can we do both phone-ins? Should we do both phone? Because the other story, which also speaks to the arena of law and order, is about the Police Federation balloting the membership, balloting the rank and file. How many officers do you think there are in England and Wales? Just have a guess. Go on, say it. Just say a number out loud. Not if you're, listening on an earphone that your boss hasn't noticed yet or something like that. That'd just be weird. If you just sat there and went, I don't know, 500,000. How many officers do you think there are in England and Wales? Off the top of your head? 145,000. 145,000 officers in England and Wales will be balloted on whether or not they should seek the right to strike, industrial rights, including the power to strike. I can't remember the full details of why they don't have the power to strike, but I think it was a sort of quid pro quo negotiated years ago under which you couldn't be made redundant, and in return for not being made redundant, you surrendered your right to strike. There's also, obviously, as with all of the public sector, pay disputes in play, but unlike the rest of the public sector, police officers don't have the right to withdraw their labour in protest at the paucity of the pay offer on the table. So actually, it's going to be up to you which way this goes. Why are the prisons full? Glancing at my screen and my inbox is perhaps not as silly a question as I thought it was. So we'll do a side order of why are the prisons full. 0345 6060 973. I can't wait to hear Suella Braverman, blame it on the woke mob or the Labour government of a decade and a half ago. Or who do you think she's going to blame it on? Probably immigrants. I wonder why the prisons in this country are full. But the question I really want to focus on this hour is, should the police be able to strike? And I want you to answer that from both sides of the thin blue line. I don't know, actually, but I think they should. Well, I just said I don't know, and then I told you that I think they should. That was a bit of a contradiction. I don't know for sure. I don't have what you'd call a pungent position on this. But the more I look at the pay settlements that the public sector has had to endure for the last 15 years, really, or certainly the last 13 years, the more I think if you can't withdraw your labour, then some governments, not all, but some governments, i.e. the last 4 or 5 since 2010, they will treat you like mugs. If you don't, I mean, look at what's happened in the health service. You've had sections of the health service going on strike who have never gone on strike before. Firefighters have always reserved their right to take industrial action, and they have been right to do so, in my opinion. But the slow erosion of industrial rights in this country, undertaken since 1979, has actually changed the game. It's changed the way we look at things. You know, when you speak to young people and they are not shocked by stuff that you're shocked by because it's all they've ever known. I always remember the aunt of a junior doctor talking to us about her nephew working at Christmas. And she said something that's really stayed with me, because you have an older doctor ringing in and describing the absolute horrors of what they have to go through at Christmas now, when obviously demand rockets, and comparing it to what it was like 20 years ago. But we took a call from a lovely woman a few years ago, and she simply said, well, my nephew knows no difference. This is his second or third Christmas, I forget which. And that's all he's ever known. So he's a lot less shocked by what's happened. That's how you get away with decline, isn't it? Managed decline. Is that the people leaving who are stunned at how badly things have deteriorated are being replaced by people arriving who have never known any different. That might be relevant to the conversation about prisons as well and why they're full. But the twin topic this hour will be, why are the prisons full, and should the police be able to go on strike?